that when we find ourselves seeking outside um, influence to make us feel successful, the euphoria of that only lasts for so long. And
Yeah,
then we
exactly.
need something else to get that euphoria. And it's always a need energy. That's where we've been. However, now it seems as though we're moving away from that mentality. Is that what you're explaining in your book or in your your chapter this time?
Well, I'm more explaining the need to move away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's still, I think the disasters affected people's consciousness a lot, and it was natural that that was going to happen. So I think once the disasters started happening, people started asking, oh, what's causing this? Under on some level, and there it's very visible that some of our consumerism and in, we have to start taking care of the planet. So I think there's more people who are mindful now that abundance should include some of those things. And then I have seen people post certain things on Facebook that true wealth is inside and it's not outside, and people are waking up. I
Mm-hmm.
think in our own
Mm-hmm.
little circle, but yeah, it's something we need for the new world that we were meant to bring in. So and it's definitely something my guides have been hounding me on for a long time.
You just to kind of touch on one paragraph that really struck me. You were talking about removing blocks in order to allow ourselves to move away from that need. And this one paragraph goes, one method is to more closely examine the condition of mankind in order to realize that almost all of our emotions and struggles go back to various feelings of being either less than, more than, or incomplete on some level. And then you suggest if we could allow ourselves to let go of the need for competition and material completion, while aspiring to be more heart-centered and cooperative, we could probably find we would have less drama in our lives. That is so powerful right there, because we are, I guess, as a society, we're engaged in being competitive. We have sports, we have winners, and we have losers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it even became entrenched within the spiritual movement, and and it was subtle. It wasn't deliberate. I'm not going to say it was right or wrong or positive or negative, but um, in the movement there was kind of a you need to go and it's part of freedom, attaining freedom. To feel we had these dreams and we could go for them. But I think now people, and this is what I'm seeing, is people are starting to wake up and go, oh, maybe this, what we were going for, was leaving us still feeling incomplete in some sort of way. And I think this is where a lot of the next step comes in, because people, I think we had to come to that process where, we had to go through an empowerment phase, and then to use our little tools towards trying to have all these things. And then we kind of move away from that, realizing it's not really all it's cut out to be. You know what I mean? It's making us
Mm-hmm.
exhausted. It's making us compete with others.
It's not
I know
fulfilling.
so many people are getting turned off by the marketing and the promotionalism, and everyone having a link on their thing saying buy my this or buy my that. I've
Yeah.
talked to people who've removed famous people off their Facebook page because they don't like seeing in the feed all the stuff regarding selling their courses and
Mm-hmm.
everything else. So I do feel there is kind of, we're getting turned off. And it's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean what we were doing is wrong. It just means we're getting turned on to something else. So finding the worth inside without having to make everyone love us. And this doesn't even have to do with consumerism naturally. It can be sometimes we're going out in the world and we want everyone to love us and we want everyone to like us. And so we conform ourselves to what we think other people might want us to be. And, it's just time to kind of go within and find who we are inside, and the true treasure, existing within us in our wholeness, instead of outside in all the things we can have and be and pursue.
So, I'm guilty. I'm guilty because
so am I.
I use I use Facebook, which is a social media. I use Facebook in which to promote. I think of it that way, but it's market in which to bring awareness to my magazine, which is Bel Esprit, or and at this point, I'm offering a psychic development course, and I've been promoting that. And although, I'm charging for that course, my whole concept behind offering this course is I want to teach people to be more reliable on their own intuition and less reliable on psychics.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like your intention is more to share, and your whole Facebook page isn't full of all this stuff. So, you post it maybe once in a while, and at the same time you're posting welcome new columnists. So it's really you're more sharing rather than, I would say, overly. And I promote my own show too because I want to get the message out.
Exactly. But, so maybe it's the idea, it's not about the money coming in. Yeah. It's about sharing that knowledge that helps to bring about freedom.
Yeah, and you can feel when someone's cut off from you and they're just pitching to you. You can feel the energy. You know what I mean? When someone's just making a pitch to you, it's like, come buy my thing. Or,
yes.
It's cold. There's a coolness there. And this is the separation consciousness. We become very separated from one another in some ways when we get into that mindset. And I think this is what people are starting to feel. And I think this is why people are drawn to celebrities and stuff who are more real and who are going through some issues and who they feel they have something in common with. And you can tell the different energy, but society has been very much locked in this isolation mode where we're very distant from each other. And I think I talked on the last show about how Twitter, it's like no one even wanted to get to know me. It's just like they follow me and I follow everyone back. And the minute I follow them back, I'm hit with come by my seminar. Or
yes, I've seen that too.
Yeah, and one time I actually got upset, and I'm human too, and I said, you didn't even say hi first.
And I think I think a lot of the difference is the lack of the feeling of love in your exchange.
Exactly. And as someone who does your website for you, I know you make almost nothing, and you do hours and hours of work on this beautiful magazine every month.
Every 2 weeks, yeah.
I think you're probably lucky if you make $100.
Yeah. So if you'd like to donate to Bel Esprit magazine, click on the donate button on the website. I'm kidding. Okay, I'm just kidding. But
it's okay to ask for donations, and it's okay to barter, and it's okay to exchange energy.
Yes.
That's what money originally was. It was a form of exchange of energy, and I still accept money for some of my services because it's for my time. Otherwise, I'll write or do something else. But if there was a way to barter in society, because we've kind of cut society, so it's hard to barter anymore. But it's just really a means. Money is another means of barter. But the thing is, we've become so
focused on that.
I'm even tuned into that energy. Like there is a collective consciousness. Like it's a collective mind, and it's very focused. I'm going to say the word focused, streamlined, and it's become a little bit harsh and cool and driven. You know what I mean? And Ariel speaking behind me, and she wants us to kind of visualize or imagine a softer type of energy moving in and kind of entering that collective consciousness and just softening it out a bit. And like the article says, you bring in the yin energy to kind of complement the yang.
Yeah. Now explain, that was going to be my next question to get us back on track. explain in your article, you talk about the yin energy and the yang energy and having too much yang energy. So explain what yin and yang energy is, and follow up with that. Why do we need the balance of the two?
Well, I'm going to explain yin and yang, and then I'm actually going to read parts because I think I wrote it, like I channel a little bit when I read, and I
Yeah.
liked how it came out. But yin is represented by water, the moon, emotions, stillness, simplicity. It's gentleness, really, and it's some of the things we're afraid of in life right now. We're afraid of emotions. We're afraid of intuition. It's all of those kind of deep things. And then the yang energy is kind of like the fairy sparkly energy, but it's very go go go, and it's of course it's a good energy. You believe in yourself. You want to shine. It's represented by the sun. Um, but it can get kind of aggressive if it gets too competitive and too much. It's the energy of war too, and conquest and competition and action. And while yang is action, yin is receptivity. And when you
Hmm.
think of abundance, you need receptivity. So it says, if one can step back in order to clearly look upon man's collective interaction with his world, it becomes obvious that mankind currently possesses an abundance of yang energy. Yang energy is representative of the masculine, the doer, and the conqueror. It's symbolized by action, fire, and the sun. Collectively, mankind lacks faith in letting go of his predominant yang disposition. We find it difficult to allow our yang energy to be complemented and balanced with the gentler and more feminine yin energies. Yin is not trusted as much because it has a quality that makes people fear potential loss of opportunity. Why? Because yin represents surrender, flow, emotions, intuition, gentleness, and receptivity, and those who are predominantly yin may be perceived as not doing or achieving enough. At times, yin is even viewed as weakness or laziness. And then I go on to discuss how what is not taken into account is when cultivating a mindset that is open to abundance, yin is equally as important as yang, because yin is characterized by receptivity. Yang is also important because yang is characterized by action. Both complement one another to create harmony and balance. In addition to this, incorporating yin with yang allows any yang action we take to be heart-centered, because yin is yang. If you think of it, yang is the mind
Hmm.
and yin is the heart,
Heart center.
and we can meld those together.
Now you've made a comparative with the yin and yang energy, even with Mother Earth. And we've had this conversation before. Mandy and I have some of the most awesome conversations when we talk to one another during the day. That's every day. We had to have our Mandy and Bell fix, I think. But we were talking at one time about some of the disasters that we're seeing happening. And you made the statement that it was, something about it was Mother Earth responding to a heaviness of yang energy, or something to that effect.
Yeah, it was actually an angel that came to me in a dream, and there was a disaster, like there was a tornado going on, and the angel said, "The world has become too yang, too focused on
Hmm.
conquest and producing." And then I looked at the world and I was like, because I had to look up, I didn't even know what yin and yang was, so I looked it up and I was like, wow, you know what? If you look at all the energy that's on the planet right now, it is very yang. We're having tornadoes and um, solar flares. That's the sun. Even yin things like water are doing yang things like tsunamis and stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like this rushed energy. And I remember even once someone posted their dream to Facebook, and it had a tornado in it. And I remember writing on it that an angel in a dream had said that. And then I looked it up in a dream dictionary, and it was the same thing.
Wow.
They dreamed about a tornado. So when you dream about a tornado, what does it mean? It means you're too scattered. You're doing too much. You're ungrounded.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Mother Nature, as without, so beautifully always mirrors as within. And it's just amazing how nature will speak to us if we let her.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in dream interpretation things when you mentioned the tornado, because tornado is associated with storms, it has to do with the emotions, and it represents the emotions being turbulent.
And even why do we overdo things? It's because of our emotions. Why do we over consume? It's because of our emotions. Why are we overwhelmed?
Mm-hmm.
I think really the world is stating that we're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
We're doing so much. Our dreams, it's beautiful for us to have dreams, but I think a lot of people in society, and I learned this when I worked with EFT, a lot of people who came to me were overwhelmed. They had beautiful intentions for life and beautiful intentions for their dreams, but their dreams were starting to own them.
Yeah.
And their energy was collapsing. They couldn't sustain it anymore. And I remember there's a EFT master out there. I don't want to say his name, just because just for privacy reasons, but he sent an email out, and it was all on patterns of overwhelm that he's noticing in his own clients. And it's like this energy has taken off. And then I remember even watching on the news, and there was a segment on how society seems to be more overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
than before. But the solution was to treat the individual so that they could recover themselves and go back into a yang lifestyle. But the message I'm being given is the solution is to let go of the yang lifestyle and to kind of balance the energies, because we're treated like we're supposed to quick fix everything and then be able to go back into the world, and the world is seen as normal, when really we're being asked to see the world as dysfunctional and to kind of pull our energy back. This is you can have a positive flow in the collective consciousness and a negative one, the same as in your mind. So we're being asked to pull out of the negative flow of the collective consciousness and all the beliefs that we're told to believe, and especially the belief that you're not good enough, you have to fix yourself in order to go in the world, otherwise you're a failure. I mean, these things aren't actually said to us blatantly, but there's there's little messages underneath everything telling us to think and feel these ways, and really it's the world that's kind of become crazy.
Yeah.
And if we flow with it too much, this is why people, when they meditate, I remember I had a healer, and his parents were monks in Tibet. So he told me some stories, and he said it's very, very common for people who meditate for long periods of time. When they try to go back into the world, they get panic attacks and they get anxiety, and they become agoraphobic, and they have some of these problems. And it's really because they're trying to go back into that energy of the world, which is very sped up, and the vibration is almost skewed in certain ways. The chakras are all overactive. We're trying to raise our vibration all over the place, and we're not really understand how energy works. And there's people sending energy to the planet as well to raise the vibration, and they're not really understanding truly how energy works. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of creating this vibrational whirlwind, as since we're using that I'm hearing the word vortex.
Vortex, exactly. That's exactly what came to my mind. Get out of my head. Because what I was hearing was we need to slow down the vortex of Earth's energy, cleanse that energy, and then almost restart it again and let it build to where the collective consciousness is.
And again, it goes back to trust, and I talk about trust in the article. We don't trust the yin, and we have to trust that we can ascend in the same way our masters did. And how did our masters ascend? Through gentleness.
Yes.
through
Yes.
purity, through just becoming quiet. I remember once we were talking and you were like, wow, becoming a monk, that would be horrible. Or I forget, were we on radio or something? But something about the monk life being really horrible. But, that's really how they did it in the old days.
Yeah, and I mean, and look how much we've grown in the years that we've known each other. I should say me, because my goodness, you are such an example, and you see the world in such a different light that truly educates anyone that has the opportunity to know you and talk to you.
And this happened for me fast, and I'm
Hmm.
still learning myself. I don't meditate 40 hours a day or anything like that, but that might be doing that too, Yang.
Yeah.
But most of what I talk about is just messages being given to me, and I'm trying to integrate them myself. And, I would love to be a monk, but I'm still stuck like everyone else is. But I don't think, I think we're meant to take everything in steps. And so I've taken myself and I've said, okay, Mandy, you need to do this in steps, because I suffer from anxiety. That's been one
Yeah.
of the things I suffer
And don't
from.
you think it's because, you're not meshing with the energy of the collective? And I had a client yesterday that was having the exact same issue of the anxiety and panic attacks and didn't want to leave the comfort of her home. And
Yeah.
I knew it had something to do with the energy that she is being attuned to was not mixing well with the energy that exists outside of her safe haven.
Well, that's why they think people are having allergies and all these other
Hmm.
things is we're raising our purity and vibration in one form, and then we're assaulted by the world, and we're assaulted by all this aggression
Yeah.
energy and this harshness and this yang energy and this increased vibration. I remember there was something I read once which said be careful about the words vibration and frequency. They don't mean the same thing. But I tell people, I say don't use the word vibration or frequency. Um, intend the emotion. So if the emotion is peace, then intend toward peace. And if the emotion is love, then intend towards love. Because there's some confusion with regarding this frequency vibration thing,
Hmm.
and I do believe there's some truth to raising the frequency and vibration, and it's affecting us intuitively and in all these other ways. But I also believe in balance as well. So,
Yeah,
um,
makes sense. You
yeah.
know what? We're at the bottom of the hour, so let's take a break, Mandy. And when we come back, we're going to spend this last segment of Path of the Lotus on continuing the subject of your article in Bella's Free Magazine. And welcome back to Path of the Lotus featuring Mandy Peterson. And we're talking about her upcoming book, I Am the Lotus, Not the Muddy Pond. And she's been sharing various chapters of her book in our Bella Spree magazine. So we get a first look at the contents of this book. But this month, this segment, we've been talking about heaven is where the heart is. And I want to share a quote that Mandy has included in with this chapter, and it's given by Eckhart Tolle in his book, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. He says, as we have seen, having the concept of ownership is a fiction created by the ego to give itself solidity and permanency and make itself stand out, make itself special. Since you cannot find yourself through having, however, there is another more powerful drive underneath that pertains to the structure of the ego, the need for more, which we could also call wanting. No ego can last for long without the need for more. Therefore, wanting keeps the ego alive much more than having. The ego wants to want more than it wants to have. And so the shallow satisfaction of having is always replaced by more wanting. This is the psychological need for more, that is to say, more things to identify with. It is an addictive need, not an authentic one. Explain
Yep.
what he means by that.
Well, it's just it's kind of like we were talking about on the last show. It's about we will want and need what we want and need till we do not want and need it anymore. And what makes us want and need is the ego. And it's like it's always driven. And no matter what we have, I don't know if you've noticed this, Belle, even with clients, it's like they get what they aim for, and it's like we can't be happy, we can't settle, and then we're on to the next worry. We're on to the next thing we want. Mm-hmm. We don't know how to be in the present moment anymore. And he's right, it becomes like an addiction rather than, just fulfilling our basic needs. So
an example for that, just to give you a brief example of that want and then wanting more, is I'm going to pick on my younger sister. She always has to get the latest cell phone that's been released on the market. Her cell phone doesn't even have to be a year old. It doesn't have to have any problems. It has to be the latest model. And you notice when you get a new toy, you're excited about it and you got to spend time on it, play with it, see how it works. And then after a period of time, that euphoria dies off. And then you become bored with it. And I think consumerism follows that path, where they have to keep bigger and better and cooler and more gadgets in your face to get you to suddenly look at this new thing that you just bought and realize, that's not cool anymore. I want this one. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's what drives us. What inspires us. And then,
but the concept of having things, is that euphoria soon dies off, and then we have to want something else to fill that void, rather than looking within self for where the void lies.
Exactly. And, I've even looked at prophecies places. And, what they say is that we will move to a time where we find, I think this is the Rainbow Warriors, if I'm not correct. The theory of the Rainbow Warriors is that they come onto the earth and they help those who are the warriors find their sustenance from within, or to become more centered in the heart, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I do feel we will move from this outer search into an inner one in some kind of way.
And I think we're evolving to that slowly, but we are evolving to that.
It's just that the only thing that happened, I think, and this is why it's important that people are challenging society right now, even though it feels like it's a negative and all this other stuff, is because the reason we couldn't embrace all this stuff, it's like we know it all, mm-hmm. but we can't embrace it because of that split, because society says one thing and we don't challenge it, we just float along with it. And then spirituality and what we truly desire for ourselves, peace, love, happiness, unity, consciousness, says another. But I don't think, and I know this was true for me before 2011, I never gave it two thoughts that I could ever step away from what society wanted from me. It was kind of like I was meant to merge both of those things together, and it's kind of we are supposed to create a bridge, but what we're kind of doing is we're taking our spirituality and we're saying, I'm going to be a spiritual person and I'm going to shove myself into this collective consciousness with this spirituality, and then we wonder why everything feels out of control sometimes, or that we're chasing after things and practicing stillness at the same time. And the second thing that's happened is when The Secret came out and these concepts of abundance and everything else, abundance was primarily defined externally, and this is because of the ego. It's because what happened is that we weren't enlightened before we were handed the secret. And so our ego said, oh, cool, I'm going to use this metaphysical principle to serve my own ends.
To get me
and
a
so
new
we
car.
kept searching for this enlightenment and this the ascension and materialism outside of ourselves instead of seeking it within. And if you really think about abundance, it has nothing to do with gaining anything. It has nothing to do with losing anything. I put, with true abundance, there is no fear of what might be lost, nor feeling of more need to complete with oneself. With true abundance, one lives in gratitude for everything one already has in the present moment. This is why I think the Bible states that it is harder for a rich man to get into heaven. Heaven is where the heart is. The more we look outside of it to fill a void, the more absent we feel in our heart. And so this is what I think is the problem that is going on, is that we've never really been taught to look internally for abundance. We've never been taught to look at the tree for its abundance. We've been taught, what can we use the tree to create that's lifeless? Mm-hmm. And so abundance has become this lifeless entity. Instead of finding it in preservation of life, we're finding it in the destruction of life. And this is, people talk about thoughts manifesting the reality on earth. This is how thoughts manifest. We are moving towards, we're moving out of it, but I'm going to use the example that we've been a society that's moved into so much preserving the lifeless over the life filled, that we've created this energy on the planet right now that is while the vibration is increasing in one way, there is a very, very low vibration that's that it's kind of a death consciousness. It's we really we're willing to die to have. We're willing to die to be successful. We're willing to put our health on hold in order to have things, or to pursue this or to pursue that. We're willing to make ourselves sick. So there's this vibrational opposition on this planet, this split, like I've talked about.
Yeah, I was just looking at. There's a section in your article that kind of follows along with what you're saying. It says, here is what I believe of the world's current concept of abundance. Needy people may attract an abundance of things, or they may not attract them, depending on what type of psychological blocks they possess. But whether or not they attain an abundance of things, the materially abundant and the materially less abundant may both have neediness as a trait in common.
Yeah, that's true, eh?
And it is, and so it's it's kind of reiterating the fact that you're saying that everybody who has money is selfish and want. It's also happening within people who have less. It's what their intent is. And it's the whole concept here is to be able to feel as if you are enough with or without material abundance.
And that's where the next part is it's important to begin to see the miracle, because the miracle is being lost. And where is the miracle? It's in nature. It's in ourselves. It's in our cells. It's in everything. And we miss this every time we try to have abundance. Our mind is programmed to think these affirmations and thoughts towards getting things which aren't full of this miracle. And I write, even the act of seeing the miracle has a way of making us feel more expansive. Therefore, once we see the miracle, we begin to care for more than just ourselves. We begin to feel a sense of oneness with other living things and beings. We can then feel true joy and bliss, which I'm sure all of us had small moments such as this when we grasp the inherent beauty of something seemingly ordinary, and once we fully grasp that beauty, we recognize something beautiful within ourselves as well. Because the miracle is you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it is me. It is everyone in the chat room. It's, you know, and we've kind of, I'm hearing the word forsaken. It's like we've forsaken this miracle. This miracle is God. This miracle is the oneness. This miracle is us.
Yeah. And at the end of this chapter, you state, in the end, here is all anyone needs to know in order to receive the riches within their inner kingdom. Inner abundance is not connected to outer abundance. Inner need is, however. Otherwise, there would not be mass numbers of rich and powerful people in the world who have had every need met, who may have fame and fortune beyond measure, and who are still deeply depressed and struggling with various forms of suffering. Many who have achieved inner abundance have, by choice, lived simply and with less. Why? Because an attitude of inner abundance allows for simplicity, because the inner abundant person has less fear, less neediness, less need for control. The truly abundant person is able to embrace the present moment and find love, beauty, peace, unity, and everything else abundant in that present moment. That is powerful. And I do want to add here too, Mandy, that you do have this particular chapter in its entirety listed on your website at mysticmandy.com.
Yep. And it's free, and you know, because it was given to me for free.
Yeah.
So
I mean, definitely, please check out this article in our Bella Spree magazine February issue, Heaven is Where the Heart Is. And it's, of course, written by Mandy Peterson, which is an excerpt from her upcoming book called I Am the Lotus, Not the Muddy Pond. It's just incredible. I mean, I'm so thankful, Mandy, that you have shared these chapters of your book in our magazine. And every time I read one of her chapters, I'll say to her, oh my God, this is my favorite one. This one just is so powerful. And then the next month she submits another one. I'm going, oh, this one is my favorite. It's such an evolution just to read the book. You find you can't help but evolve, and because you self-reflect, and you can't help but experience a type of spiritual evolution as you read her words and her channelings, and you just can't help but feel guided to make a better world for you, and therefore express that energy outward to the collective.
And I'm just thankful for people like you, Belle. And I mean, how lucky am I to have befriended someone who's part of a magazine who could actually get me to write? And there's been a few other psychics out there who've really encouraged me to write and to speak. And normally I'm not the type of person who would have had the courage to do that. So I'm thankful for having had the opportunity to be surrounded by such loving people. And even Hazy Radio. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when I was on CBS, I didn't get half the feedback or the
Support,
I don't even know what to say the word was.
Support, and you know what it is? It was the energy. It was the love energy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say that out loud, but then you're right. With this energy of Hazy, it was created, I think, for the right reason.